somebody.
We're going to be talking about this with our Powerhouse panel later in the program. I want to bring them back, though. We've got a lot more to talk about. Constitutional and civil rights attorney Amir Benno and National Advisory Board member for Project 21, Christopher Arps. Chris, I want to get to you just real quick, picking up on what we discussed before the break. I just want to ask you one quick question about these vaccine mandates. We are seeing the poll numbers for Biden and the Democratic Party within the Black and Latino community take a dive, a pretty significant dive over the last number of months. Do you think that the vaccine mandates have something to do with that?
I definitely think they have something to do with it. Recent polling showed that among African Americans, he has a 61% approval rating when it comes to the coronavirus. So I think it is affecting it, especially in New York City, where I think 30% of African Americans are not vaccinated, but New York City has implemented the ban where you can't go into restaurants and things of that nature without the mask. So that is irritating a lot of African Americans, and Joe Biden is the brunt of that.
All right, I want to move on. Thank you, Chris. Trouble at the border, chaotic surge of migrants not letting up as states are now trying to figure out ways how to push back against resettlements and a problem Washington clearly doesn't want to solve. Where's the border czar? She's talking about just about anything but what's happening at the border. Take a listen.
My mom was a scientist, so she would take us to the lab with her, like on the weekends and after school, because she had to work long hours. And I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. And then there's other things that we just haven't figured out or discovered.
How about
yet.
exploring the known, like the 2 million people that are flooding across the border? By the way, those kids, they were actors. I wonder how much of my tax money went to pay for that. Amir, what are the legal options here for states? This has been a big issue of mine. And how does the state, and I know we can talk about the supremacy clause of the Constitution, but how can states prevent resettlements by the feds within their borders? And do you think that it's time to really kind of push the legal envelope here?
Well, first, to your first point, I just want to say that not only has Kamala Harris been invisible on the border, but much like Pete Buttigieg, who disappeared for 2 months, much like Anthony Blinken, who disappeared and was on vacation when Afghanistan fell, or Kabul fell. I mean, they just disappeared. They're on holiday. And they don't seem to realize that these are real issues that affect American security and American lives. And they need to plug in and be there on a regular basis. Now, getting back to the border, what are the legal options? There are challenges, although I will tell you that the chances of success are very slim for states to challenge the federal government's resettlement. But what the states can do, the border states, and I know that Texas has tried to do this, in the absence of the federal government stepping in and building the border wall or enforcing illegal border crossings, is the state does have the legal authority under federal law to police its own border, to arrest people for trespassing, and to construct a border wall. And I would submit that they then should be holding the federal government responsible for the expense that goes along with that. And that would go a long way towards reducing the amount of illegal immigrants coming into the country, which would be solving part of the problem.
Chris, what do you think that states and governors, legislatures should be doing to help with the crisis that Washington is clearly ignoring? And again, and I'm going to you because you're in St. Louis, so this is one of the places where we're seeing, Missouri is a place where we're seeing resettlements. People are going into the interior of the country. How do you think they should be approaching this?
Well, I think first of all, you have to have a strong attorney general like we have, Eric Schmidt, who's speaking out on the Biden administration's policies of resettling immigrants all throughout the country. And then I think, unfortunately, in cities like St. Louis, which has lost population dramatically over the last 20 to 30 years, it's a very democratic city. Our leaders are actually looking for migrants and immigrants to come to our city to help prop up the population so that in future years we don't lose congressional representation. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation.
Okay. All right. I want to thank our panel. We're going to see you at the top of the hour.